What's holding you back at work? It takes a variety of skills, experience, emotional intelligence, reputation, and network, as well as your mindset, habits, and behaviors to be successful in a work environment, to be able to progress. Now, we're going to focus on those last sections: your habits, your mindset, your behavior. Oftentimes, you put most of your focus on trying to improve your skills, improve your emotional intelligence, your network, your reputation, and your experience. But what tends to be shuffled to the side or paid less attention is mindset, behaviors, and habits, especially when it comes to how others perceive you and the impact you have on those around you at work. It happens at any age and experience. You've been successful, but maybe hit a ceiling or a plateau. The question you should ask yourself is: work has changed, management changes. Have you changed with it? Or what if you really never made the progress that you were expecting? You think you're doing the right things, but it just doesn't seem to be working out for you, and you can't figure out why. Also, if you're new to work or returning to work after a long absence or time away, what do you need to know or be aware of? That's what we're going to dive into. I'm breaking down all the tough truths that no one else is telling you, or maybe they're telling you and you're not aware what they're saying. These are sometimes subtle, often unspoken behaviors that quietly stall your career, damage team dynamics, or make things just generally less successful for you. They tend to be things that people may not say out loud, but they matter more than you think. And so, in these upcoming lessons, we're going to talk about these from two perspectives. Start with yourself. Always start with yourself. What do you need to be aware of as an employee, as a contributor within the organization? Doesn't matter if you're a manager or a leader as well. This is, what do you do for you and your own progress? How do you make yourself a better individual and person and contribute to the company and the team? And then, if you do manage and lead others, in addition to leading yourself, I want you to take a look at what are the behaviors and concepts you need to consider as a leader. How do you create awareness and how do you mitigate? How do you influence and coach your team members so that if they have these behaviors, they're able to work on them, overcome them, up level? Here are lists of the different types of habits, behaviors, and mindsets, attitudes that I'm talking about. There are plenty more. We won't be able to cover all of them. As you read through and look at these lists, you'll probably think of others that you could add to it. This is a wide range. It can include things like body language. Maybe you stand too close to somebody. Maybe you shrink. Maybe you don't make eye contact. There are a variety of things that you do physically that you need to be aware of. Other things like your energy in the room. Maybe you're really loud all the time. You might be the opposite. You might not speak up enough. Maybe you seem insecure or you lack confidence. You say sorry too much. Interrupting others, that's a personal one that I work on. There are so many different types of behaviors. I do want you to spend a minute, pause the video, and read through the list. And then rejoin me. As you read through the list, somebody may have come to mind. Maybe you're like, oh, yeah, I totally know that person who talks a big game but never delivers. Or you really had somebody come to mind on hogging the spotlight. The question I want you to ask yourself is, do any of these things come to mind for your own habits, mindset, behaviors, and attitudes? It's usually the stuff that other people observe about you. They may talk about it amongst themselves or behind your back, but maybe are uncomfortable saying it to your face. And that's not malicious. You'd be uncomfortable in a lot of circumstances speaking to somebody about these types of things. Would you pick out any of the things on the list and say, oof, I do that? Like I said, oh, I interrupt people too much? When you're aware of the behavior or the habit, that helps. Oftentimes, these are subtle things that you've been doing for a while and you don't even notice as much anymore, but other people notice them about you. And the question is, do they tell you about them? These are the sorts of things that make people uncomfortable. Rarely will you find somebody who's comfortable enough to approach you and say, hey, did you know that you're always cutting people off? The other thing that you might find is that you have heard people tell you this all the time. Sometimes they're joking, sometimes they tell you, and you aren't able to hear it. Maybe you're just not able to accept it. You think it's part of yourself, or you didn't realize that what they were trying to communicate was this is a problem. And so be aware of that. Think about, have I heard from a variety of sources that I do something very often, or that I need to stop doing something? If you've heard that, that's a clue for you to be aware and say, hey, maybe this is something I need to give consideration to. If it's an, I didn't know I did that, or why didn't anybody ever tell me that kind of situation, now you've got a clue. If you can't think of anything, if you look through this list and you sit and think, hey, I can't think of a bit of feedback I've had, then I want you to pause and notice this week. Notice your behaviors. Notice how people react to your behaviors. Do they roll their eyes? Do they step back from you? Do they put their head down and do something else while you're talking? Do they leave the room? Do they say things to you that could be a trigger or a notice that you can use as a clue? None of us are going to do everything on this list. And if you do these things occasionally, for example, you're the person who says, oh, that wasn't my fault. The stars were misaligned today. And you blame something on something else occasionally. That's just the way we are. But it's that repetitious behavior and attitude that's going to cause a problem. If you're always late to a meeting, if you don't turn things in on time, if you're constantly seeking an exception and you blame it on circumstances outside of yourself, that's what I'm talking about. It's that repetitious collection of behaviors and attitudes that will get you labeled and cause you to potentially be overlooked, ruin your reputation, or harm your reputation, have people look at you as unreliable, hold you back, or maybe even move you around. Sometimes what happens is you have a skill set that's valuable, but you're difficult to deal with, either for the leader to deal with or the team to deal with. And so you get moved around from team to team more frequently than other people. Those are all good clues for you. And so, what I want you to do is lead yourself. Think through, are you unknowingly doing any of these things? Or maybe you know and you just need to practice trying to overcome or work around these particular behaviors. If so, join me at Boss at the Helm. We're going to learn how to work through these habits and how they affect you and how others perceive you at work when you have these habits. Get the tips and guidance to shift your behavior and start seeing real results at work. Now, everybody should lead themselves. Start with yourself, lead yourself. If you're also a manager and a leader of others, then I want you to learn how to coach your team towards better behaviors and more productive outcomes. You have to be very self aware as a leader to do this. What presence and impact do you have as a leader? Do you shy away from addressing any particular topics? Where do you let things slip by because you're so busy or you don't want or don't know how to deal with them? If you're avoiding telling somebody on your team what everybody else takes issue with, that's going to be a problem. When you know it's hard to talk about something and you avoid it, you need to be sure to actually address it. That's when things keep bothering you and keep bothering others and they tend to escalate. Also, don't blurt out the problem. Don't blow your fuse and say, I'm tired of you constantly complaining and pulling problems and dropping them at everybody else's feet. That's not what we're talking about. Practice what you're going to say. If you're not sure how to coach somebody on the behavior, seek counsel. Talk to experienced and respected leaders and professionals. Talk to your HR team. Research, read, look up other resources. Learn how to talk and coach. You want to be forthright, but also don't bring vitriol into your candor. So there's no reason to be angry or sarcastic or mean or short tempered when you're giving real, trusted feedback. You want to gently steer people towards awareness and acceptance, and then coach them to modify their behaviors and performance. And then one more thing to remember about coaching your team, telling somebody about this one time is not developing the individual. It feels good to check the box and say, oh, I talked to so-and-so about how they're always late to the meeting. When you choose to work on developing a skill or behavior, a trait or a habit with someone, you make sure to plan it out. So you're going to talk about the specific actions they will take, and you'll talk about the specific ways that you'll support them, and then the timeline for when do you expect to see something start or change or grow. What are the types of things you expect to be accomplished or to change in that period of time? And put it in a documented plan, work on it together, discuss it at regular intervals. Notice when the behavior is turning the correct direction, and also make sure to continue to provide feedback if you don't see the changes that you need. The last thing I'll say about leading others is notice your environment. Not every team or leader or project, company or client is going to have the same culture and expectation and behaviors. So, your leadership style that you may have developed over a period of time may need to flex or change with the environment that you're in and the people that you're coaching. Always maintain your integrity in your leadership, but notice if you maybe need to adjust your leadership style in order to be better and more effective as a leader in that environment. It's all about awareness, accountability, and leveling up. Lead yourself, then lead others. Be a boss.